I'm 94. I need to tell you something before I go. You know, looking into this camera lens right now, it's a strange feeling for an old man like me, realizing I'm broadcasting my wrinkled face to folks all over the world. I'm 94 years old now. I have outlived my beautiful wife, Eleanor. I've outlived almost every single friend I ever walked through life with, and truth be told, I've even outlived my enemies. I am standing right at the absolute edge of the cliff now, my friends. I can see the bottom clearly, and before I finally take that last step and go over, I felt this heavy, urgent duty to turn around one last time and talk to all of you who are still back there at the party. Because from where I am standing, I can see the landscape so much better than you can. I see so many of you walking around every single day with this incredibly arrogant, comfortable delusion that you have all the time in the world, treating your days like they are cheap pieces of paper you can just throw in the trash. But I am here on this live stream tonight to tell you plain and simple that you are flat broke. We are all going to die. And while you might understand that intellectually, you don't truly feel the cold weight of it against your skin. Because if you did, you wouldn't be wasting your precious life the way you are right now. Let me tell you about the very first thing I learned, the first real shift in perspective that changed how I view every single breath I take. And it's a stoic practice I call the law of the last time. Every single time you do something in this life, no matter how mundane, you have to remind yourself that there will inevitably come a day when you will do that exact thing for the very last time. When my kids were little, I remember coming home tired from work, and they would run to the door asking me to pick them up, and I'd do it automatically, sometimes even a bit grumpily because my back ached. But there was a specific calendar day when I picked my daughter up, set her back down on the floor, and I never, ever picked her up again because she grew too big. I didn't know it was the last time back then because nobody rings a bell to tell you that a chapter is closing forever. One day you will kiss your spouse for the last time. One day you will drink a hot cup of coffee for the last time. And one day you will look out at a beautiful sunset and it will be your final view. You never truly know when that day is going to arrive. It could be 10 years from now, or it could be before the sun goes down tonight. If you can deeply embed that knowledge into your soul right now, you will never take another solitary moment of your life for granted again. You will actually taste the food you eat. You will hold on to a hug just a little bit longer, and you will look into the eyes of the people you love and actually see them, instead of just looking past them toward the next thing on your to-do list. That brings me directly to the second thing I desperately need you to understand, which is that you have got to wake up right now and stop numbing yourself to the gift of existence. I look around at the world today, even at folks who are older and should know better, and I see everyone completely hypnotized, spending hours upon hours just scrolling through these little glowing phones, completely dead to the physical reality around them. Look at me. I'm 94 years old. My knees ache when the weather changes. My eyesight is getting dimmer by the week, and my energy fades before the afternoon is even over. But you, so many of you watching this right now, you still have the golden ticket in your hands. You have your functional health. You have the remnants of your youth. Yet you are willingly throwing those priceless treasures away by shutting out the world. I am begging you to stop it, to put the device down after we talk, to walk outside and actually feel the cold wind hitting your face, to look up at the vastness of the sky, and to start doing the things that actually matter before it's too late. Call your aging mother while she can still answer. Buy that plane ticket you've been putting off because you're waiting for the perfect financial quarter. Eat the good food you keep saving for a special occasion. And for heaven's sake, forgive your enemies right now. You don't forgive them to do them a favor. You forgive them because you simply do not have the time or the emotional energy to carry the heavy, rotting luggage of hatred and resentment with you into your final years. We are all guaranteed a spot in the graveyard, yet most people spend their entire lives just existing in a state of comfortable numbness, staying safe, staying quiet, and then they just quietly expire without ever having actually lived. Take my best friend Jack, for instance, a man I think about every single day of my life, especially now that I'm the only one left to remember him. Back in 1968, Jack was the absolute star of our circle. He was smarter than me, better looking than me, and making money hand over fist as a corporate shark. I distinctly remember sitting with him in a dimly lit bar one evening, celebrating a massive business deal he had just closed. He was leaning back in this expensive leather chair, puffing on a premium Cuban cigar, and he looked across the table at me and said, "Frank, 5 more years. That is the grand strategy. I just grind it out for 5 more years. I hit my financial target, and then I'm completely done. Then I finally take my wife Mary to see Italy. Then I buy my paints and learn how to be an artist. And then, Frank, then I finally start living my life." Jack had it all figured out. He had the 5-year plan, the road map, but life doesn't care about your spreadsheets. Just 3 days after that conversation, Jack walked out of his high-rise office building, suddenly grabbed his chest, and hit the concrete sidewalk before he even realized his body was failing him. It was a massive, catastrophic heart attack at just 42 years old. He never saw the canals of Venice. He never touched a paintbrush. And as I stood over his casket at the funeral, the overwhelming tragedy wasn't just that Jack died, because we all have to face that curtain call eventually. The real tragedy, the one that broke my heart, was that Jack spent his entire precious fleeting existence on this earth waiting to live, treating his present days like a miserable waiting room for a beautiful future that never actually arrived. And the coldest, cruelest part of it all came a week later when I went up to his office to help his widow clear out his desk. I opened his planner and saw his calendar was booked solid with urgent meetings for the next 6 months. Yet the world didn't stop for even a single second because Jack was gone. His company put out a job listing to replace him within 2 weeks. His clients completely forgot his name within a year. And when I look out at the world today through this screen, I see millions of people acting exactly like Jack, telling themselves the exact same lie that they will finally be happy once they get that next promotion, or that they'll take that dream trip when the kids are older, or that they'll mend that broken family relationship once the other person apologizes first. But let me give you a hard, unvarnished fact from a man who has lived nearly a century. There is absolutely no such thing as later. There is only the space you are standing in right now. And if you are constantly trading your guaranteed now for a hypothetical later, you're making the absolute worst, most foolish bet in the entire history of human gambling. Now, that brings me right to the third thing I need to get straight with you tonight, And this one might sting a bit, but you need to hear it. Let's talk about your stuff. All this junk you are obsessed with accumulating. I look at the world today, and it seems everyone is caught up in this mad race to buy things they don't even need, using money they don't even have just to impress people they don't even like. Look at where I am right now. I live in one small room. I've got a basic bed, a sturdy chair, and a framed picture of my beautiful Eleanor on the nightstand. That's it. Decades ago, I had the massive house, the luxury cars, and a garage packed so full of expensive toys I could barely walk through it. Sitting here at 94, with the absolute terrifying clarity of the endgame, I am telling you that it is all garbage. I have attended more funerals than I can count in my life, and I have never, not one single time, seen a U-Haul trailer following behind a hearse. When you breathe your last, your kids aren't going to cherish all that plastic and leather. They're going to hire a stranger to come into your house and toss 90% of your precious belongings straight into a dumpster, and the other 10% will get sold on the front lawn for quarters. That is the true sum total of your materialism. Future trash. So why on earth are you breaking your back and working 60 hours a week to pay for it? Why are you missing your daughter's childhood just to afford a fancy car that spends its days sitting in gridlock traffic? It is utter madness. And the tragedy is, you won't realize it's madness until you're sitting exactly where I'm sitting, and by then, it's too late to return the merchandise. I learned this the hard way back in 1979, the night I won the Businessman of the Year award in my city. It was a massive black tie banquet, and when they called my name, I walked up to that podium with the crowd roaring and applauding. I felt like an absolute god, like I had officially won the game of life. But when I drove home later that night, clutching this heavy polished glass trophy, the house was completely dark. Eleanor was fast asleep upstairs, and the kids were dead to the world in their beds. I sat all by myself at the kitchen table, pouring a glass of scotch and staring at that piece of glass. And that's when the silence hit me. The applause had completely stopped. The people who clapped for me at that dinner didn't actually care about me. They just cared about what my success could do for them. Meanwhile, the people upstairs, the ones who actually loved me for who I was, were the very ones I had neglected for months just to win that stupid prize. I had skipped my son's varsity games to stay late at the office, and I had canceled my anniversary dinner to close a corporate merger. And for what? That trophy is sitting in a dusty box in a basement somewhere right now, and I honestly couldn't tell you where it is. But the memory of my wife's sad, disappointed eyes when I told her I couldn't make it home for dinner, that memory is right here in my head, as clear as day. It stays with you. You see, you think your career is your legacy, but it's not. It's just a transaction. You are selling the finite hours of your life, hours you will never, ever get back, to build someone else's castle. If you drop dead tonight, your job opening will be posted online before your obituary even hits the paper. Do not worship at the altar of your career, my friends. It will never love you back, and it certainly won't hold your hand when the lights finally go out. So, if the money is fake, the career is a trap, and the stuff is just garbage, what on earth is left? The only things you truly get to keep in this life are the things you gave away, the love you shared, the time you invested, and the genuine connections you made. When I sit here in this chair today, I don't replay my successful business deals or count up my old bank balances. I replay the quiet Sunday morning spent drinking coffee with Eleanor. I replay the sound of my daughter's belly laugh when she was just 3 years old. I replay the freezing winter evening I helped a complete stranger push his broken-down car out of a snowbank. That right there is the only wealth that actually matters. So, as an old man who has run the full length of the course, I want to leave you with one final no-nonsense challenge. First, you've got to kill your ego. You are so utterly terrified of looking foolish that you let fear paralyze you. You don't take the risk, you don't start the business, and you don't tell people how you truly feel because you're worried about what they might think. Let me liberate you from that burden tonight. Nobody is watching you. They are far too busy worrying about themselves and their own lives. You are the main character only inside your own head, and to everyone else, you're just background noise. So stop letting the fear of judgment ruin your life. Second, start practicing the law of the last time and let it remind you to hold on to your loved ones just a little bit tighter today. And finally, wake up, put the phones away, and actually live your life before the clock runs out. Don't end up like Jack, waiting on a 5-year plan that might never come. Well, my eyes are getting a bit tired now, and the evening's getting late, so I think I'll sign off this stream and get some rest. Thank you all for sitting with me tonight and listening to an old man ramble for a bit. I truly appreciate the company from all over the world. Take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and please, go live. Good night.